Well, so this afternoon, the Ministry actually of Works and Housing has actually deployed a fact-finding mission to Angloga in the Volta region and adjoining communities there after tidal waves ravaged these coastal communities while cutting the road networks leading to the area. So there you see the distraction on your screens now. Similar incidents were also reported in other parts of the country, including Ada in parts of the Greater Accra region and then Shama as well in the Western region. For now, we know that the National Disaster Management Organization says it is deploying relief items in support of the displaced victims. So we can now go on Zoom and speak to George AC, who happens to be the Director of Communications for the National Disaster Management Organization. He will be joining us shortly, but first listen to those on the grounds in the Volta region who are assuring that relief items will be provided to persons displaced by the tidal waves.
Any specific number, because the issue happened yesterday, and first of all, they must help people to safer places before any other things will be done. So right now, they are on the ground as we speak. I wanted to actually go there myself with my team this morning, but we'll be going tomorrow because we need to get some updates on it before we go there. So currently, we don't have any figures to give you, but hopefully, as within the day, they should be done with the assessment. The K2 South Municipal Director and its mayor were on ground. They helped those who cannot sleep in their homes anymore because of the way they have to help them to safer places. So far, that is what they have been able to do, calculating the actual figures before we can know what actually should be done. But initially, the people weren't cooperating with my men. They were saying they don't need relief this time and that they really want the sea defense. That is the only thing they need. But in some few minutes ago, I spoke with the director and then he said they are now cooperating. So the information now is a bit scanty, but hopefully by close of day, we should get proper details on the whole.
Well, so that's the assurance we got from NADMO as to the relief items that are being distributed in the area. Earlier, we know that a couple of months back, the MP for that place, K2 South, Jifa Gomashi, raised a number of issues on the floor of Parliament regarding the sea defense projects. Fortunately, Jifa Gomashi is joining us live on Zoom to have a discussion on this. Thank you so much, Honorable, for your time. So I must assume that you're distraught by this incident that we're learning of once more.
Yes, thank you for using the right word. I am distraught. I'm devastated and totally heartbroken, actually.
But, well, we know that you earlier raised a number of issues on the floor of Parliament, questioning government's intent and commitment towards completing the sea defense project in the area. How far with that project, and have you received any updates on that particular situation?
Well, so as we speak, I have a question already filed, which has been admitted. I've seen it in the order paper for tomorrow. But if you recall, and I know that you just mentioned that I did ask questions on the floor of Parliament, and part of the answer that was given by the Minister for Works and Housing, Honorable Asen Sobuachi, was that we were to witness the configuration of the second phase of the defense at the end of 2021. But as we speak, there's no contractor on site. I also do recall that I requested that a temporary shelter be constructed for the people so that if it happened again, they will have somewhere they could go and find respite, so that those who bring some things for their upkeep can have a place where it will be delivered. As we speak, we still don't have even the site demarcated
demarcated. We don't have the site demarcated for that temporary structure either. So to answer your question, as far as I know, there's nothing that has been done, not even ordinary tests that NADMO usually will send to disaster-prone areas. Not even one single tent was provided from last year to date.
So
at least,
right. At least now we know that the ministry is indicating to us that a fact-finding mission has been deployed to your area. Even before that, many say that your residents.
Right. May I interrupt you for a minute?
Okay, right. That's
is that
fine.
an admission that there was no such thing was done the whole of last year? The tidal waves hit us in March, in May, and in November. Are we now going to do that? Is that the case?
That's an interesting question you're asking there. Some experts also tell us, and some of the persons working within the ministry indicate that residents along the coastlines were warned to move away some years back, and yet many of them would not heed to these calls by the experts and officials working within the Works and Housing Ministry. Is that also coming to your attention as Member of Parliament for the area?
Were we told where they were to move to? When disaster hits the people, you don't leave the decision to move to a place of their choice. Is that the case? Did anybody give us a temporary place where they could move to? You see, we can't keep doing things in an ad hoc way. It's got to be properly structured. There needs to be a place where they can move to, some kind of alternative sources of livelihood given to them, some stipends perhaps given to them for their upkeep. It's a whole year and nothing of the sort has happened. So why do we take delight in saying that they should have moved, they should move? Move where? This is where they have known their whole life. This is all they have done. Fishing is all they do. The alternative for them was to cross the border and go and sell some vegetables or buy some and come and sell in Ghana. And that too has not happened in 2 years. It's as if I'm singing to myself or I'm talking to myself all the time. It's as if the state has refused to hear what I'm saying. You can't say move without providing the necessary interventions, the necessary support for that movement. We have been neglected, and that's the fact. The communities, the 20 Ketu South, Kata and Anglo, that were hit by these tidal waves, have been neglected. And let's face that fact. Let's admit it.
Well, at least you have one opportunity now at redressing the concerns. What exactly are you demanding from the sector minister this time around in the question that you're filing in Parliament, which will be admitted tomorrow?
Well, the question that I filed about 2 months ago, which has now finally been admitted, was to ask him what the status of the sea defense is. Is it the case that he gave us the end of 2021 and we're in April of 2022 and we haven't seen anything? Should we be hearing something? Does he have any information for us to move forward on? Is that something he can tell me as a representative of the people, set and implement, so that when I go back to the constituency, I am empowered to go and share that information with them? That's what I want to ask him tomorrow.
Right, we'll see what will happen. But finally, we know that last year when this incident happened, you sought for support even from the office of the former president, John Mahama, who gave some relief items. What are you doing in the meantime as part of the emergency response to aid the relief process?
Thank you so much for mentioning that. And I hope that someone in his office or he himself is listening, so he knows I'm coming back to knock on his door again. But apart from going to knock on the door of former President Mahama, bless his heart for coming through for us last year, I've also just finished engaging the leadership of the Volta Caucus. I am hoping that I'll be able to catch Honorable Haruna when he gets up from the leadership seat, so I can engage him too on our side. But I've called, to be fair, I've called the Minister for Works and Housing this morning to ask him whether he has heard about the recent one. And he has spoken to me. I'm hoping by the close of the day, he and I will get opportunity to speak again and see what he's been able to gather and what he can do to support us. I've also taken the opportunity, because I didn't find him in the chamber, I spoke with the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources to try and reach his colleagues who are empowered and mandated by the state to act swiftly when disasters such as this one happen. So I'm hoping that amongst the leadership of the government side, they too will be putting their heads together and get back to us as quickly as possible. But let me say that truly, I feel numb. I'm depressed. I feel really, really numb that I'm beginning to sound like a broken record to myself and to those of you who are sharing your platforms for me to be able to speak up for my people. It's too long. It's a whole year. Something should be said. Something concrete, something reassuring, something comforting has to be said by state. And when I mention and single out His Excellency the President of the Republic, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, I've heard his people tell me that the ministers are speaking on his behalf. But may I remind them that His Excellency the President had opportunity to come to reach Sona, and he mentioned another community that has suffered a devastation. I demand that he pays attention to my constituency as well.
Is it not far-fetched when you create the impression as though the president is not concerned about your community?
You asked me a question, what I want to do. I'm telling you what I want to do. What I want to do is bring his attention that I've been trying to reach him for a year.
Right.
For a disaster that I cannot take care of but him.
And finally, just before we wrap up on this conversation, we're yet to hear from NATMO as to whether or not everyone has been moved into safety. But from the networks that you have on the ground, are you able to confirm or deny if everyone has moved into safety? It appears that we're having challenges, the connection there. But let's now get the perspective of the National Disaster Management Organization on this. In fact, they were on the ground since yesterday. George DC's Director of Communications for NATMO joining us now to provide us with some updates. So, George, it's a good time to be hearing from you. So what exactly is NATMO doing about this situation? Already we know that some of your men are in the area. What more do we know about getting persons into safety?
Yeah, thank you. The parts of the water is receding. Some people have integrated with families in safer places, and our men are still there helping them to go get to such safe areas. And so on the ground, our people are there and working in tandem with the opinion leaders in the community. As I speak with you, apart from the Volta region, you said it in your intro, the Sege area, we have the Aklabanya, and then Anyamam and Lulunya. These three communities have also been hit by the tidal waves, and then the Shama area. My Director General is leading a team to the Sege area today. That way, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Can you hear me?
Yes, precisely.
Yes, my Director General is leading a team to the Sege area, and then the Volta Regional Director and her team will also join the others, the district officers there tomorrow. And so definitely, as the Volta Regional Director said, by close of day, if we get the full assessment report.
George, if you're with us, so that's what you're doing.
That will then inform.
Right. So I get the interventions that you're carrying out, but then many would say this is not the first time we've recorded such an incident. Last year, similar places in these coastal communities were experiencing the same issue of tidal waves ravaging their properties. What reports have you issued, and what recommendations did you give to the Works and Housing Ministry to work on in order to deal with this perennial problem?
What you know and what the honorable member has also said, and the members of the community, as my Volta Regional Director said, they believe the ultimate solution is the construction and completion of the sea defense project. And that is what we also agree to that call. And so, yes, I think in the State of the Nation address, I did hear the president mention some sea defense projects will be carried out. And so we just hope and pray that the Volta region, Angloga, K2 South, and Keta areas are part of it, so that those projects will be completed and then bring some relief to the people in the area. That is the ultimate thing that we're all looking forward to. And as a member of parliament says, she's been talking to the Minister for Works and Housing. I believe she will also be serving as a catalyst to push for the continuation and completion of those projects. That will help all of us. But otherwise, in between time, it's going to be the management of the situation. And just from last year to now, almost 4 tidal waves hitting those communities. It's worrisome. And I understand the MP's distraught nature.
Right.
It's worrying. We are also not happy with the situation. So based on our immediate assessment report, we will take the steps to see what support we can bring to the people.
But Judge, we'll talk about the specifics of this case, but correct me if I'm wrong. The perception out there is you're being reactionary. Is that the case? Even in spite of the fact that in spite of the fact that we don't even have the sea defense project in place, the belief is that you're being reactionary, you're not taking proactive measures to ensure that persons move into safety, move away from these coastlines.
Yeah, normally when you get the forecast told that maybe tomorrow or the next day there's going to be a tidal wave that is going to hit the community, then you can do that. Otherwise, a continuous admonition that people move to higher grounds or move away from those places. And as the MP said, the people are traditionally attached to the place. And so if you want to move them away, it's going to take a political decision by government that because of the danger or the risk that people are exposed to, government is moving all of them to a relocated place. If a place has been identified and then we are moving them, that will be a political decision. And that will not be a decision from NADMO. NADMO will then be managing it. And as we said, if we had the forecast that there's going to be tidal wave, our men would be...
But George, what specific actions, what specific actions are you going to take on? Yes, but George, what specific actions are you going to take on this very case that we're hearing of, the Adar case, the one in Shama, and then Anglogan, which is in the Volta region as well? Are you moving the people away from these communities?
Yeah, for now, we are helping them get to safer places. In fact, the Angloga area where Angloga, Keta, and Co, they are integrating with families in safer place. We've also made identified places, and I heard a district chief executive on your network, radio network, saying they've identified a place and they are going to put up about 15 temporary 2-room structures. I don't know whether it can accommodate the people, the numbers that are involved. That would be a measure that is important. But I agree with the MP. If we are able to get some tents to the place, my Director General is going to the Sege. From there, a decision will be arrived at to know whether we'll be getting tents to these places to provide temporary structures for them so they can live in those places in the meantime, whilst we do the right thing to give them the full support to get their livelihoods back.
Well, George, I'm afraid we'll have to leave the conversation here. I'll get back for some more updates.
Thank you.